From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Kyle Fredrickson. Kyle, it's been 2 years since Mason Rudolph went to Norman and won Bedlam. It really started his, sort of the narrative about him, I guess, if you will, because he's a true freshman at the time. Not a lot of expectations that OSU is going to go to OU and win with a true freshman quarterback playing his second game. But there they go, and they do it. He really has sort of lived up to the expectations set out that day, which is saying something.
Yeah, it seemed kind of unrealistic what this guy had to face in terms of the pressure that comes with winning a Bedlam game in your second ever start in this team's history. It's, there's never been a quarterback to do anything like that since Josh Fields, who, wasn't his second start, but as a freshman was able to reach that moniker. So for Rudolph, to now that we look at his career since, he's 21-5 as a starter, more than 8,000 yards of total offense, with 100 more. He'll pass Mike Gundy for third on the all-time OSU list. These are marks that he's reaching that sort of fall in line with those storylines we all thought might play out. Impressive now that he returns to that site 2 years later.
Well, and Mike Gundy said in his Monday press conference to remember, this guy is a third-year player, but he's really only a second-year player because he had such a limited amount of playing time as a true freshman. That wasn't really it clearly wasn't a full season. But as you look at his trajectory, his march to where he is now, what have you seen most in improvement and just the things that have impressed you with Mason Rudolph?
Well, I think one of the biggest things we even have to look at is durability and being able to play through some injuries. He cracked the foot in Baylor, but was able to come back in the Sugar Bowl and perform very well. And to this point, you can tell his body is transformed to sort of absorb those big hits he's going to take as a bigger physical quarterback. If he can utilize that ground game like we've seen him do in the past few weeks and use that as a skill set possibly at the next level, then I think, these franchises are going to look at a potential franchise quarterback, not necessarily Ben Roethlisberger because of just how large he is, but the same skill set, the big arm, mobile, more mobile than you might think with that type of frame.
Lastly, you mentioned that cracked foot against Baylor last year. That led to him not starting Bedlam a year ago in Stillwater. A loss for the Cowboys. He played a series, but clearly was not himself, very hampered. Do you sense him maybe a little more excited than normal for this Bedlam game?
Yeah, he's not going to show it as much. For him, I think playing against OU and playing against Baylor are probably the biggest rivals in his mind, being that Baylor's the one team he's never beaten, and OU, like you mentioned, was able to beat the Cowboys with just that one kind of disastrous series that ended in a pick six. But Rudolph's not going to say that publicly. For him and this team, that kind of one day at a time motto is paid off in the way they've been able to come back from these really tough losses and win these crazy late games as we've seen them do so often.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes on Saturday morning, 11:30 kick down in Norman. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.